Welcome to 21 Answers with your boy TLee. Today's special guest is B-Wize. What's going on, boss?
Man, what's good, man? Thank you for having me again, man. I'm humbled and blessed to be on the show. 21 questions with you, man, and this is our second go around, so I'm definitely elated. Excited, man, to talk about some things, to get through some things. You dig what I'm saying? So let's get it.
I'm excited because since the last time we have spoken, I've seen a spark of positivity in your life. And I'm curious on how you found that positivity.
Man, you know what? This is the funny thing that people don't realize is that I'm actually a savage. Like people that really know me understand that I'm a savage. But the thing is that um, the thing is understanding that you know where you've been, you know what you've been through, you know the things that kind of led you up to where you needed to go, and it's only one way to be, and that is positive. And even though some people may misinterpret it as being negative, it's actually having a certain mindset. You know what I'm saying? You have, in order to be successful, you got to study positivity. You got to study how successful people are. Successful people have a always have a positive mind state, because you know what I'm saying, you always surrounded by negativity or whatever. So you know what I'm saying, having that positive mind state all the time, or trying to at least work towards having it all the time, is and then trying to regurgitate that and put it in places where people can learn from it and grow from it, man. For me, I've always been inspired just to be able to I've always, been inspired just to have people to inspire, you know what I'm saying, to motivate, because, there's a lot of negative shit that goes on in the world. And, um, man, that's where I get my motivation from every day, man, just to be better than I was yesterday, so on and so forth. And hopefully I can be able to, help somebody along those lines as well, be the best that they can be.
That's great. One of the things I've been telling people is, you like a lot of people do struggle with weight issues, and I tell them
Right.
think about your mental as the same way as you would your body. You
Right. So yeah. So on real talk though, like what's funny is you see me with my shirt off, and I'm just not doing it just because of sex appeal, obviously. But real shit though, man. Like like I work out 3 or 4 times a day, and because the reason why, because without a healthy mind, without a healthy body, you don't have a healthy mind. So I think for me, like first thing I do after I thank God and meditate and do my morning affirmations, man, I put my body through hell. And that's like the physical nature of pushing myself to prepare for the day, whatever challenges that comes. You know what I'm saying? For me, exercising is a metaphor for the hurdles that you got to cross in life. So if you can push your body, you can push your mind.
being a Marine, they had this saying, pain is just weakness leaving the body. I used to be a gym rat. I kind of got away from that. But I still take necessary steps to watch myself, you know what I'm saying? Watch how I eat, at least I get up and I walk, I take the dogs out. This minimal stuff, I tell people, I lose about 7 pounds a week when I really just get out and walk. Like I don't do much,
Right.
still lose weight. And what I do with my mind is I've been telling my kids, we got to watch what we allow in here. If
Absolutely.
we just sat around and ate junk food, we're going to gain weight, and that becomes negative. If we sit around and we watch violence, if we allow violence, if we think violently, if we think negatively, we are going to have a junk food brain. You're not,
Right.
you know, a lot of people suffer from mental illnesses, but they also wonder if they're really crazy because they see some other things. They're like, wait a minute, but we just got to stop allowing the trash. Now, when you say morning affirmations, can you explain to my listeners what is your affirmations? Because mine consists of I open up my Jesus calling, my love guide uh, morning readings. That's how I start sometimes.
Right. So sometimes I do a guided meditation. I mean, YouTube to me is a great resource for everybody was kind of down because they couldn't get to the gym. But I'm like, YouTube is a great resource just for exercises. You dig what I'm saying? So I've been doing a whole bunch of YouTube exercises, and a part of that resource for morning affirmations, there's a ton of them, and sometimes I do a guided meditation, and sometimes I do my own meditation. Now, for me specifically, I have three main goals in life that I believe that if you manifest in the right way, things will come to fruition, or they'll translate into physical form. So for me, my morning affirmations is number one, thanking God. Number two, like visualizing and speaking wealth, speaking prosperity into my day, speaking wealth and prosperity into other people's lives, like my children, and always understanding that really I'm never in control. You know what I'm saying? I can only control what I can control. Excuse me. And so,
Boss,
I have three.
I want to stop you right there with that control thing. I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
that's the biggest thing that I do struggle with. I
yeah,
like, I'll sit down, I'll plan a whole day out, I'll be like, all right, this is how the shit gonna go. Nobody likes surprises, when shit don't, when you're trying to really get things done. And to me, that's my own control issue. I'm not in control of the unknown and my body freaks out. So I'm trying to reprogram myself to be okay with that. Now, how do you how have you came to terms with you're not in control? Like, what was that like to get to that point?
Man, things happen in life, you know what I'm saying? Situations happen in life. And really, man, honestly, it's simple. You just gotta make a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like when you become comfortable, um, when you start getting upset, when you get angry with the fact that you're in the state that you're in and you no longer want to be in the state that you're in, when you get to that point, that's when you start making change. But at the end of the day, man, like it's really just making a choice of being not, you don't want to be there, and making that choice to be like, man, fuck that. Like, I'm gonna get my ass up. I'm gonna do something about it. And because, they always said that really, man, we our own enemy at the end of the day, because there's an African proverb that says that if there's no enemy within, then the enemy outside can do us no harm. And so a lot of times, man, we are our own enemy. And so it just come down to a simple choice, man. Like, just, what I'm saying, just having a belief and having a vision for yourself of what you see yourself as being, the best that you can do and best that you can be, and chasing that vision. Like right now, man, I'm in transition in my life, and right now, like I really focus and say that I'm gonna make decisions for me. Like, and I have this saying that says, in order to be selfless, you got to be selfish. You dig what I'm saying? And that's a lot of times we chase things outside ourselves to try to give ourselves affirmation of what we try to accomplish. What we need to accomplish. But man, everything that God has built, that everything that you need, the resources that you need, God has already put in you. You know what I'm saying? And it's just making that choice to make the right decisions. It's just making that choice to bust your ass and just go do it. Just go get it.
Man, I, I don't even know how to follow up on that. I think you just show. So a lot of what you're saying also does, I want to tie this in also for my listeners who struggle with addictions as well. A lot of this, what you're saying, ties into things that I went through learning during my recovery process. Well, I'm always going to be in recovery, but during the process to get to where I am, I had to
Right.
realize there's something greater than me. There's something that's guiding me, and I have to listen for that call. I have to listen or find that path. And a lot of people can't find their path because they can't get out of their own way.
Absolutely.
Advice would you give someone like that?
Sometimes, man, you just gotta sit still. Like God, there's a reason why you still living. There's a reason why you still existing. And I don't never believe that living is just a coincidence, that you just, like your life is an accident. I truly believe that God has put you here for a specific purpose. I think sometimes because of the rat race that we in, I think you gotta sit still and you gotta listen. You dig what I'm saying? Like the shit that I've been through, a lot of people, other people been through. Like we all been through some horrible stuff. We've been through some trauma, and sometimes we so focus on the bad stuff, that we never focus on. We never can really understand like what good that we have. And so God, when we go through bad stuff, You know what I'm saying? It's not a loss, it's a learned lesson. And in that learned lesson, we have to really focus on, okay, what do I have to work with? How can I be better? And like I was saying earlier, making that choice to chase that, that higher self, or to chase that better self of what you want to be. And man, it's just merely, man, the first, and if you don't know how to get there, man, it's just taking a step. First thing I always, because I teach this to students as well. So I teach younger people of how to, what do you like in the state that you are in right now, like, start looking at what you can do. And the first thing that I teach students is write down your goals, write down what you see yourself as in 3 years, or your better self. Like, what do you see as the most perfect self as you can be? And then once you have a goal, when you have a set goal and you can visualize that, man, that's where you start working towards. Because some of us don't have no ceiling. Like, we don't have no plan, we don't have no goal, we just out here living. And when you feel like that, a lot of times people feel insignificant. But when you have something set, when you have a bar set, when you have something, a goal set, that give you, you know what I'm saying, that'll give you a springboard to be like, okay, this is where I start. And honestly, man, at the end of the day, it's not even if you meet that standard. It's about the person that you become, and the journey, and learning from the journey as you become that person. So the first advice, man, I would give to somebody that's trying to figure stuff out is, number one, man, get you a pen and a pad and write down exactly what you want to do and exactly who you see yourself as being as your higher self.
Hey man, that's great advice. Now let's talk about this trip you went on recently. You was just in Vegas, right?
I was in Vegas, yes. Me, Blaze, and Kevin.
How was it? How
Kevin Action Jack.
how was that?
Man, it's a great experience, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes, living in Kansas City, you see the same people every day. You experience the same thing. But Vegas was a eye opener for me because we met so many people. I met mad people. I made connections as far as the music industry as well. And when you see so many people all over the world, and you really see the diversity in the city, and you really see even the poverty, even the bad stuff about Vegas. You know what I'm saying? People sleeping in the street, and
Happy
people
sleeping in,
begging. Say it
like
again.
they be happy sleeping in the street. Like my
Man, bruh,
my first
bruh,
time
I've never seen a mad or a broke. I mean, not a broke, but I've never seen a mad or unhappy homeless person,
in Vegas.
because either they drunk and they happy off their ass, or they just they just doing them. So I mean, it was a great experience though, man.
My first time ever to Vegas. I picked up and I moved to Vegas. I,
Word.
bro, I said, man, shit ain't work. I got to go. And I went out there, and the underground scene was in the earth. I mean, it's still in development now, but I'm talking about 4 or 5 years ago. The underground scene really was almost non-existent. And I go out,
Right.
and then just people are plugged into sidewalks with speakers, microphones. There's 12-year-olds, 9-year-olds dancing, like doing shit I'll never be able to do. Just on the street, man. People walking around in costumes, grown people dressed up as kid cartoon characters, getting paid,
Right.
taking pictures.
It's a
Vegas
hustle. Yeah.
Vegas is a total like I sold hustle water. I sat on the strip, uh, kind of down.
Fremont. Did you go to Fremont?
Yeah. We. Oh man, I walked all over Vegas. I use
Yeah.
man them their transportation system runs 24. You can get a bus from one side of Vegas to the other at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
That stuff don't happen in Kansas City. There's
Right.
in Kansas City, it because everything closes down around 11, 12, other than your bars and stuff, but everything closes down. I was
Word. Yeah.
going to retail stores at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like,
Right.
these city trends and stuff like that. I was like, well, they don't do. I want to shop early in the morning. Let's go, and
Right.
it's taught me a whole different view on my life because of what I seen. The happy people. There was a couple. It was me, my wife, and a friend of mine. And he was kind of being a dick. There was a couple sleeping on the street on our way back, and he was like, "Look at these fucking homeless people. Fucking get a job." And I was like, I just shook my head. And the lady set up and started cussing out my girl. And we was like, "Hey man, shut the fuck up. Don't talk to people." And then dude got
Right.
up and he said, "Bro, I'm not broke." He fucking pulled out a wad of cash bigger than dude had. And his dude had 75 cents on him. Dude put he
Right.
oh, he said, we just ain't about to pay the rent they want. I was like,
Right. Right. Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and that brings me into another topic. When
Mhm.
I meet someone that I don't know, I try to be as respectful as possible. Because look at the first interview we did. Had I,
Right.
had I been a different type of person after that interview, we wouldn't be here today doing a follow up, talking to you and following your path to positivity. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And when I lost the thought. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and lighten the mood a little bit, boss.
Right. Right. Right.
What are some what are some things like when you were a kid? What were like your dreams other than music? Like when
Oh man.
we want to be millions of things. So like when I'm talking 7, 8 years old, what were those things you
Right.
wanted to be?
Man, like, sports has always been a part of my life. You know what I'm saying? I've always been an athlete, still love to compete. And I had dreams of playing professional basketball. And so, or playing some type of professional sport, either football or basketball. And unfortunately, that didn't work out, man. But sports was always me. I had no ambition ever to do music. And the ironic part is actually I used to lead songs in the church. And shout out to my pops, man, and my mom, who did a great job as far as making sure that I stayed involved within the church because it allowed me to uh, when I found my musical gifts, it allowed me to kind of expand on that as far as harmonies and all kind of stuff like that. And that's a byproduct, T, of what you hear in the new song of the way my voice sound. But when I was that age, man, it was all about sports. It was all about being competitive, being the best athlete I could be. Back then, we was watching Jordan and you know, the Larry Bird, and I know for some of y'all Generation X, y'all know who the fuck I'm talking about, but
All right,
we
you said something. What was how did you like The Last Dance?
you know what, man, I actually haven't watched it yet. I've heard some really good reviews on it. I heard some people talk about how there was some things in it that wasn't true, but for the most part, I got pretty good reviews on it. So I need to go watch it, man, because I haven't watched it yet. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be intense. Anything with Jordan, that Bulls saga, is going to be intense. So
It
hopefully, I'll be able to see it here soon.
watching that for me was a refresher because I'm not a huge basketball fan. Like I'll keep up with sports, but football,
Right,
you know. So I'm watching it and I'm telling like, hey, I forgot about this basketball player. I forgot about this dude. I'm glad I watched this. It reminded me of what basketball was back in the night.
absolutely,
It was a real eye
absolutely.
opener. I won't spoil it for you, but definitely I recommend. And just with anything you watch, you have to go into it with an open mind and be willing to do your research and not just trust someone you don't know's word. You know what I'm saying? Because someone can put out false rhetoric. We're dealing with that with in our political system right now. They're out here saying one thing and we see a different thing. Like
Right,
people can see like it as long as we remain open, we can see the bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
Now,
absolutely, man. Yeah.
not to get too much into politics,
Right.
what are your feelings on what's going on in our political system? It real short. We don't have to get too elaborate. You know, some people do get crazy and start talking,
Right.
you know, but I'm curious because, like, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm registered independent. You know, I'm being told I can't vote in the Democrat primary because I'm not a Democrat. Well, I don't think that's fair. I shouldn't have to choose a side. Who runs our country shouldn't be based off of a side. It should be based purely off of qualifications and who the people think is the best person. Like, anyone should be able to vote. So I'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit, you know, about it and how you feel.
I'm gonna say it like this, man, without getting too deep. I think people need to do their research, and I think people need to constantly study. I think people need to search for themselves and then make a conscious decision on what's being put out there. I think people need to watch both sides of, or three sides of the independent, the Democrat, and the Republican Party. Um, so I would just say, man, from what I understand and what I know, man, like I just watch both sides of it, and I really see in the preliminaries. I kind of watched the both Democratic and the Republican conventions to see what they're talking about, especially as an African American male, to see who's really going to benefit, who's going to really be the benefit of the African American community. Um, but I would just say, I would just put it like that, man. Like people just need to be able to do their research. They need to search for themselves, and then make a conscious decision on who they feel with their vote should be, a qualified candidate for the head of the country.
Right, right. That's totally what I tell people, and I hope people really embrace that and really look into it. Now, I want to go ahead and jump into some of our hot topics that are going on right now. Let's
Yep.
um, let's talk about the injustice in our justice system a little bit without getting too deep. I don't want to offend anyone. I have my opinions, and I believe all people should be treated equally. I understand the past, you know what I'm saying? So yes, something needs to be done. We all need to stop thinking we're high, not again, I'm not trying to offend them, but everyone, we're all human. You know what I'm saying? It's fucked up that a British king decided to go to countries and basically kidnap people. It happened Scotland, Africa, Norway, like France, you know what I'm saying? So like people need to really realize where the root of this it was the British people. Why are as Americans, why are we still so tied to the UK and stuff when they're the people that started this fucked up shit?
Mhm.
I mean, that's my view. Again, I see where it started. It started with some stupid ass king who thought he was high and mighty and over everybody. So he said, let's go take this territory, take these people. I want to go ahead and populate this place. Let's take them there. I just learned Jamaica gained their independence from Britain in like 1962.
Mhm.
And I just don't understand why people can't see these things. There's all these, you know, your life matters, boss. And I'm not gonna say it matters because of your skin. It matters because you are no different than I am. No matter what we look like, no matter how we sound, no matter what we do in life, you and I are no different, boss. We're made of cells. At the end of the day, I care about you because you deserve to be cared about. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to care about somebody because of these racial injustices. We all need to like it's divided. You know what I'm saying? So our country is so divided, and we got to stop that. We need to love each other because we are the same. Our
Mhm.
skin doesn't, like, I don't know where this came. Our skin don't make you different from me. You know what I'm saying? We
Right.
have to find a way and continue to live. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry that a person of a darker pigmentation goes through these things. It hurts my heart to know, like, we could sit here for the rest of the night and you could share a million stories with me of where you have been done wrong because of what you look like. And I
Mhm.
want to apologize you go through that. You were human just like me, bro. Nobody deserves that shit.
Mhm.
Any thoughts on that? You know, anything you would like to say?
Oh, absolutely. So so this is where, so my name is B-Wize for a reason. So dealing with the injustices, like black people are tired, and when you kind of threw some stuff out there. So really, when you start talking about the historical significance of where black people came from, the word actually racism came from race, because racism has to do everything with economics. So there's a book by Dr. Claude Anderson called Black Labor, White Wealth. And I would advise anybody to go get that book. It will not only show you the historical connection of where African Americans are now, but it will actually give you uh, a a prelude, or it will give you like a vision of where African Americans are going in a certain plane, or where they see themselves in the future. And this is what I have to say, like, as far as the narrative of us being human is true, and racism, the ideology of racism is based off a paradigm of a a society or a race of people, right? So what I understand is that when people say, like, it's cool that, I'm saying, like, we should be together and people should love one another, that's that's the way it should be, but that's not the reality. Because even though I might meet one person that's a different um, skin tone than mine, doesn't mean that that person necessarily is racist. But when we talk about white supremacy, when we talk about racism as a whole, we're talking about a foundation that a country was built off of. Um, and so the narrative of what reality is that it's true that yes, we should love one another, but as a black person in America, it's not that's not the reality of it. And so every time, like, we talk about race relations, every time we talk about uh when slavery existed, every time we talk about the transatlantic slave trade, you brought up about Jamaica winning its independence. When you talk about all that stuff combined, like, people, every time I talk to people, people are really miseducated on the historical perspective on why black people are mad. Like, you got to understand, like, uh we had our own shops, we had our own things. When you talk about Black Wall Street, when you talk about going back to Mansa Musa, when you talk about Kemet or Kemet, like, when history was taught, I mean, we can all agree that when we look in our educational system, that what is taught about black history is whitewashed. And so when you start connecting the dots from A, B, C, D, and E, and most black people are only know certain things on the surface. But when you actually start digging into the historical perspective what you call generational trauma, which has been proven by the mental health world that actually exists, you got to think about from 1865, or since 1699, or whenever the first slaves came here, all the way up to 1865, when supposedly the slavery was abolished. You got to think about all that time, and then African Americans was placed with no education, didn't know how to read. Only thing they knew how to do was they were real estate. So that generational trauma matriculated all the way down to, like, my father. You got to remember too, man. Like, the last slave recorded was in the 1960s. That's only two generations before me. That means my father can still remember when his father was a slave, and we in 2020. And so I hear the narrative of, yeah, love, peace, and everything like that. But even Martin Luther King said that he felt like he took his people into a burning building because he felt as though integration was not actually the way to go. Because only thing integration did was allow a black person by law to sit and to be able to intermingle with people of that were Caucasian. But however, Martin, Malcolm, Rosa, Fred Gray, Medgar Everts, Stokely Carmichael, even their ideology, they had different methods, but they had the same ideology, which was to eliminate racism. And you can never eliminate racism when it's in a country when it's the foundation and the system is set up. Again, there's a and I'm trying to make this short, man.
Oh, you're
But
like I really,
I would try to I'm, I'm trying to really make this short so people, so people can kind of conceptualize what I'm talking about. But again, like like I said about the political thing, like people got to do their research, people got to study, people got to pay attention to stuff. And again, I would highly recommend Dr. Claude Anderson, Powernomics. He wrote a book called Powernomics. He wrote another book that I can't think of. He wrote a book, one of the most powerful books I've ever read and studied, was called Black Labor, White Wealth, and it talks about how the African Americans that was brought here was the first real estate. Because without the real estate, without human beings being the real estate, you got to remember too, man. Like we just celebrated 4th of July, right? But um, for us as African Americans, we don't celebrate 4th of July. We celebrate June 19th, I believe, which is Juneteenth, because that's supposedly when we won our independence. But July 4th, you know, people that look like me was still slaves. So we didn't really win our independence per se. And that's like the main thing that I believe that people fail to realize is I'm gonna hook up my phone right quick, man, because I'm going live right quick. So if I'm kind of shaky a little bit, excuse
you're right, boss.
me. The thing that people have to realize is that black people are just tired. Like black people are just tired of kind of being misled. They're kind of being miseducated. They're just not, they're just kind of tired of being heard, not heard. And even Martin Luther King said that protesters or looters, and I'm paraphrasing, are the people, when they protest and they loot, they are the cry, they are the silence of the ones that constantly just never get heard. Because and I can count, man, on how many times black people have marched. We've been marching since the 1960s. You know what I'm saying? We've been marching, and so we kind of feel like to this point that black people have not been heard. Um, and you being in the military, you got to think, man. Like, you got to think too, man. You know, back in World War II, you had black African Americans that was going into the military service, and then they would die. They would get treated better in other countries. They would do their own. You know what I'm saying? Fighting in that, fighting for a country. When they had to come back, they still had to go through the back door. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you gotta look at the perspective too of
They were also
people gotta look at.
poor. They
Say it
didn't
again.
they didn't choose. A lot of them did not choose to go to war either. They were forced. A lot of
Well,
from what we was told doing our little knowledge stuff in the Marine Corps. A lot of African Americans were forced into becoming soldiers. Like it was things never really changed. They were always just called something different. And these people, the whole draft thing, that's still forcing them both. You know what I'm saying? Like that's crazy how you can just tell somebody because you sit in the seat of president, you can tell, hey, you're gonna go and die today because I told you to.
right.
What has happened throughout our history? Like it's crazy that some one person has that control over a mass people. I should, yes, like I'm a veteran and everything, but I volunteered. You know what I'm saying? no one should, people talk about we have freedom of speech, we have freedom of this, we have freedom of that. Well, in the Marine Corps, when you sign up, when you swear that oath, you have no rights. You have no freedom of speech. There is an actual book that tells you what your rights are. It's called the UCMJ. So
Right.
so the way, without getting this too complicated, and
Right. Right.
it's just, for as far back to the 1628 as I found, someone has been telling masses of people what to do, and either murdering them, raping them, or enslaving them because they refuse to do so. I have done research. I have an ancestor in Scotland who is considered a martyr for a war during King James. I forget which number it is. Um, and somebody showed up to his house and said, "Hey, we were told you pray for people. You're a Christian. You're not Catholic. We put weapons in your house, and now we're going to shoot you." Killed the man dead because
Right.
he believes something different. And this is what's going on in our society today. People, the people that are sitting in these political, most people in these they're telling us what to do, not asking us what we need them to do. They're making us work for them, and they're not doing their job for us. They're not protecting people. They're not trying to change poverty because they have their 1%. You know what I'm saying? If you're not in that 1%, they don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Look at Jeff. We can go on all night. I'll go ahead. Let's get to the music. Let's talk about this new boss.
Right. Right. Yeah, man. Man, I got a new music coming out, man. Dedicated to the brothers and sisters that have fallen due to racial injustice, and kind of telling that narrative through my gift, and it's going to be called "Born in America." And it's going to be just be featuring myself, and it's going to be featuring myself, and it's going to just pretty much tell the narrative, I'm saying, of kind of like that ongoing struggle, that ongoing voice, that ongoing thing that, most African Americans been saying for the past 60, 100, 200 years. That's what the music is right now. And then in February, man, thinking about dropping a project called Loving Cocaine. Um, and that's going to be talking about, um, we all been through breakups, relationships, I'm saying, all that stuff. So, uh, you know, to be able to kind of share that narrative and do that, man. Of course, and I have the single out right now with Blaze and Kenya. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. I know Blaze gonna kick my ass for that. I
Right.
always mispronounce her name.
Pronounce it. I don't until I can hear somebody say it about 15 times.
Yeah,
Then I'll
yeah.
try to say it. I was like, look, I'm not even going to attempt this. That's
Right, right.
talk about that song. You want to go ahead and tell them the title of it?
Yeah, so the song is called "Live Your Dreams," man, and it's just it's a inspirational and inspiring concept that Blaze came up with. He just asked me to collaborate on it. Him and Kenya collaborated on you. Kenya or Kina. I'm sorry. I know you gonna kick my ass for that, but now not real shit though. Like real shit. But we just came up with with everything going on, man. Like with the COVID going on and people just not knowing where they're gonna get food from, how they gonna feed their family, and so on and so forth. We just wanted to put out something, man, to kind of encourage people, to kind of keep people uplifted. You know what I'm saying? And so, at the end of the day, for me, it's all about love, positivity, and education. So, you know, Blaze always been my dude since day one. And you met him and stuff like that. And so, to be able to collaborate, and the video is coming out soon. So,
That song "No Love" also touched me, by the homie Blaze. Like I found,
yeah,
I sit there on iTunes and I click, like we were talking about. If what I know is right, then every time I hit that play, that artist gets something. So I sit there and I don't go to YouTube no more because
right,
I want people to be able to benefit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Absolutely.
If I can help you and sit down and press a play button for 24 hours and you make $15, I'm okay with that. You make
I appreciate
$1,500, hey, I'm okay with that. Because
it.
in
Right.
10 years, you're gonna be like, hey, boss, I need some engineer work done. Because
Right.
so like I don't ever do anything for people like this. Like I don't ever do this for anybody to pay me or anything like that. I do this because it's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to share my story, and along the way, I got to share good people's stories as well.
Right. Right. Absolutely, man. Hey, man. Like like I said before, man. You make our job as audience a lot easier. Me and and I think Blaze would agree with me. Like our music is different, man. Like we don't talk about bitches and hoes and shit like that. Like we try to focus more on motivation and inspiration. I'm a little bit more savage than Blaze is, but because like my savage, I would say this, man. Like I'm kind of like you. Like I say what the fuck is on my mind. Like you know what I'm saying. But that doesn't make me less positive. You know what I'm saying. That doesn't like make me less inspiring or motivating.
Right.
And I tell people this so I have like this thing about people say, well, how can you? It's like people don't know that you can be motivating without cussing. Like you still be a motivator without cussing. And so one of the examples I give them, I'm like, Tony Robbins is one of the top motivational speakers in the world, and if you hear him speak, he cusses all the time.
Yes.
You know, he cusses all the time, and he get paid millions of dollars. So even my thing is trying to change. One of the things I feel like even as B-Wize is changing people perceptions about stereotypes and certain things. You know what I'm saying? And that goes far than just being black in America. That goes to question everything that people believe. And I don't really try to like force my opinions or views on people. I just present knowledge and information. If they want to take it and study it for themselves, they can make their own decisions. You dig what I'm saying? So
Right, right. I've done social experiments with my kids. We lived over off of Parallel out towards the Legends, and we went to Quick Trip. And I told him, I said, when I noticed it, I was in just a baggy t-shirt, some bad. I just got done doing yard work, so my shorts had grass and shit on them. My shoes looked a little fucked up, and this guy treated me like shit. My son was with me. I said, watch. I said, watch. I'm gonna be back at Quick Trip tonight. Your mama like ice. I'm gonna put a tie on and a nice shirt and put on my dress shoes, and you're gonna come with me. But I want you to hang back and watch how different it is. Showing up,
right,
man, was yes sir. Have a good day, sir. And I turned to my son. He starts laughing. I said, that's why I tell you, you gotta leave the house looking good, because people will treat you like shit. I said,
right,
I said, man, even if I have to, like, I don't like leaving the house in a dirty t-shirt, or after doing yard work and shit, because people will treat you like you're a tweaker. Like, no bullshit.
right,
It's crazy the discrimination that goes on top of all the other fucked up shit going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like,
facts,
I'm not laughing because there's fucked up shit going. I shouldn't have to be talking about how fucked up the world is.
facts. That's facts, bro.
You know,
That's facts, bro. Now that's 100%, man. Like it's a shame that people, perceive people based off the way they dress. People judge people by physical features, and at the end of the day, man, I try to teach people. And I've even been, honestly, on some real shit. Like I've been guilty of that, and I think we just been coerced. The way the society that we live in. You know what I'm saying? We base people off of mindset. Like we see people of what they are in the moment and not what they could be. You know what I'm saying?
right,
And so, I've always been taught, man, to treat people with fairness. Respect people. And I'm not saying that I've been 100% perfect at that. I don't think nobody has, but just having that inclusive thought that what I'm saying, like you never know, man. Like this person one day could be a millionaire. This person one day could be such and such. And we all know, karma is a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And what goes around, what goes around comes around. So it's always good, man, to treat the people, to treat the bum on the street like he's, you know, a millionaire and treat the millionaire like he's just a regular person. You know what I'm saying? Like you never treat anybody any different. And that's what, honestly, man, that's one thing that I never said. I said, when I got into this and God, if God blessed me to be on that level, that I would always be like, I'd never switch up. You know what I'm saying? I'd never switch up. I've always been the same guy as though if I was broke or had $1,000,000. You know what I'm saying? I'd still be the same humble person.
The only thing I've changed is being, being violent. You know what I'm saying? Less violent than is
Right.
necessary. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not supposed to be out. That's why I didn't participate in riots, because the shit really fucking angers me. The things I see, I didn't, or not riots. Excuse me, protests. The
Right.
protest, I can't see. I didn't go to participate because I wasn't in a state to where I would be a positive change. I watching these videos of these police officers pepper spray children. I would have seen that shit. I would have but what would that have done for the cause? What would that
Absolutely.
away? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to fight for what's right, but my way of fighting is the way I was taught and trained.
Right.
That
Right.
was needed in this era. My gunnery sergeant Weaver, became master sergeant, now retired master sergeant. He told me that as I grow, I need to figure or watch how the world evolves, because the same things that were done yesterday will not be okay tomorrow. He
Right.
he said, had I been born around the time he was born, I'd probably fucking surpass him, because I was just that gung ho, that I cared that much. I care about my country. It wasn't I cared about my president. I cared about my country. I had a plan. My goal at 18 years old was to go to Iraq, a war zone, and die. I didn't plan to be here doing a podcast at 33. Honestly,
Right.
like, being real, like, and that's been my biggest struggle. Is like, oh fuck, put all my eggs in that basket. Didn't see one deployment. What the fuck we do now? So I,
Right. Absolutely.
so I had to reach inside me. What motivates me? What picks me up? What pushes me through? What really fixes things when I feel like I can't fix them? To me, that's music.
Man, music is a bro. Music. Everybody on Instagram, if you're watching, I know you can't see who I'm talking to, so I'm not. I'm not talking to nobody. This is my man TLee Brown. Where this is 21 Answers. You can follow it on Facebook as well if you're on Facebook.
21 questions.
Um,
Yeah, 21.
21. I'm sorry.
21
I,
answers.
I, what,
I was wrong. I was
what
wrong.
did I say? You said 21 questions.
It's 21 answers. I thought
21 Answers. My bad. My bad. So it's 21 Answers with your man B-Wize and my man TLee Brown. Man, thank you guys for tuning in. So pretty much he asked me questions and we kind of talk about some real shit. We talked about some political shit and obviously we talk about the music. Uh, so what'd you ask me, T? What we talking about?
I done forgot because I screwed it up.
Oh shit. Well, anyway, no, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. So music, man, really is a universal language, bro. Like that's what really connects me, you, people from like other countries. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd never forget. So have you seen one of my favorite, like I'm a movie buff too. So one of my favorite movies is Shawshank Redemption. You ever seen that movie? Right? So there's a scene in there when Timothy Defoe uh he gets locked in this place and he plays this harmonious tone, like this beautiful tone, and I believe it was classical music and the girl was Russian. And she didn't even speak English. Like it wasn't even in English, but the harmonic tone was so beautiful. It was a showstopper. You dig what I'm saying? And like I'm a big fan of like I'm a connoisseur of music, bro. And so music touches people's lives in ways that probably if I was to speak to them in a certain way, I never could touch them. You dig what I'm saying? That's the power of music. Like music, I think it's two things that really influence people when it comes to uh, pop culture: music and sports.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you could live on the other side of the tracks, but root for the root for LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? Y'all could be like diehard LeBron James, but your political views could be different. Your economic status could be different. Like it's so much stuff that is exclusive to your life or what surrounds, but like it's like with sports and music, it's kind of like that common bridge between people. You dig what I'm saying?
See, when I was 13, I was at school learning to play the trumpet and came across this song called the Scottish March. And for some reason it touched me. I didn't know why, just the way the notes were, how they were played, just sounded beautiful to my ears. So I went to my pastor at my church and I said, hey, I'd like to play this song. And they were like, well, let's change a few things. I said, all right, we'll change it. They were like, because we just want, we want to see what potential you might have. So this
Right.
he changed things to where it was a little trickery, and it was a little hard. And I was able to emotionally connect to that too. Now I find out I could be so connected to that song because I might be Scottish. I mean, I'm still trying to figure all that out, you know.
Right.
But that to this day, the trumpet is an instrument that really soothes my soul. I love jazz. I was told as a kid, as a baby, the best way for them to put me to sleep was turn on opera music. And she said it had to be Italian opera music.
Right.
She said I wouldn't go to sleep to anything but Italian opera music. I was like, whoa. Well, listen,
I swear, I gotta be the biggest fucking black nerd in the world. So I'm gonna give you a fun fucking fact, okay? So remember how we was talking about um, affirmations and meditation and shit like that?
yes,
So the way your subconscious works, right? It at the highest peak, it works before you go to sleep, before you hit REM, which is rapid eye movement, and before and right when you wake up. So right when I wake up, I try to meditate because that's when your brain waves are the most open, which is touches your subconscious, right? So everybody out there, I know I'm a fucking nerd. I don't give a fuck, but this should help you somewhere down the line.
bro, it's funny you bring this up. I fucking left my body this morning. I watched these videos. I did the shit this morning around 10 a.m. I fucking went to my front door and I got scared and went back to my bro.
Word.
Crazy. Y'all do your research. All I know is I tried what this guy said and it worked and I got scared and I went back.
So real shit though. So if you're really trying to
Like
well, I'm gonna just say it like this.
I can unlock our minds
Oh, absolutely.
to utilize more senses. There's more to what we really see. Because
Absolutely.
what we're doing is what our eyes, the colors, shapes, our eyes sends that into our brain, and our brain, because of what's been inputted, is telling us what we're seeing. Now
Right.
take away the eyesight and focus in on your brain, and people are saying cool things can happen, and I'm seeing it.
So 432 hertz is where you want to listen to music. Like our and we even whenever you talk about music, man, like engineering shit like that. Like if you listen to some of the top records, they have a certain hertz level that they get people in tune with. But 432 hertz is the best hertz to allow you. I think it's called the alpha and the beta part of your brain to where it massages the subconscious because you just talking about the brain just a second ago. So we've only like the top tier people in our society use about 12% of their brain. We only use about maybe 5 or 6% of our brain, right? So much to the point. So is that man? I was studying like some things, and we kind of see it like in comic books, right? And I know there's gonna be some people out there that gonna think I'm fucking crazy, but
That's all
when
right,
you
boss. I'm right there with
so
you on all this.
So they've actually done studies to where like Professor X, he can move stuff with his mind. Like they was talking about like if we was to use 100% of our brain capacity, that we can actually move objects with our mind, like almost. But because we've been dumbed down with a lot of radiation, the food that we eat, because our bodies are signals. So our most of our signals are so low that we don't even feel that type of vibration. You think what I'm saying?
Right?
Um, but I love studying, man. Like I love diversity, bro. Like one thing that I think that makes me eclectic, and I think that makes other people more diverse. Even when you talk about breaking down barriers of racism, is understanding different diversities. You know what I'm saying? Like I love different diversities, man. I learned not only learning about my culture, but because I have like a degree in history, like I have a BA in history. So um, one of my professors, Dr. Stapita Das, she was from India, and at the time I didn't know nothing about India. You know what I'm saying? But to be able to kind of look at their culture and see what they ate, and then I had an opportunity to spend about maybe 3 months with an Indian family, and the way they ate and their language and their dialect of how their family's dynamic was. I think, man, that's the reality of how you kind of solve problems. Is there's a breakdown of communication and understanding.
Right,
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
You know, I being in the Marine Corps, obviously we were at
Yeah,
war with Iraq and shit, but
yeah,
to do these briefings, that I did a few workups to deploy, and before you deploy, they brief you on the culture, they brief you on the language. They suggest that you learn, at least understand what words might be said to you, and I still look into the to the culture over there today just to know what it's like and see how much things have changed. Learning different things about different people gives me an understanding on how I can interact with that person. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Because every culture is can be different, on how on how you approach people, on who approaches who, you know what I'm saying? There's and if we educate ourselves on the diversity of the world and how people view things, like, to me, that has gained my understanding of my own views and made me think of, okay, is this view really right? Is this view I agree with what they think over here in Asia.
right.
I agree with this from Canada. You know what I'm saying? And that's how I become this person I am today, because I don't let what people tell me who I am. I create
Right.
who I am, because
Absolutely.
you know I get told all the, I mean, because fuck, I am diagnosed with mental disability. Everybody want to fucking call me crazy, like it's a bad thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Okay, yes, I'm crazy, but do you not remember I'm also a good guy at the end of the crazy? I don't mean to be crazy. It's not 100% my, yeah, there's a lot more I could do now that I understand things. And
Mhm.
being crazy is the guy who runs into burning buildings, jumps in front of bullets, saves the child. That's crazy. That you got to be crazy to care. You know what I'm saying? To care about
Absolutely.
people. Because the way I view is, I'm willing to sacrifice my life if I know it's going to save someone else's. Regardless if I'm in a war zone, a civilian out here on the streets, we're at the club and I see some, I'm more likely to try to save your life, because I feel that's my job. If I can protect one person, then I did my job. And
Absolutely.
it's okay for me to go to the next step, wherever that may, like, I'm not saying I don't believe in heaven. I don't know. I'm just not quite sure where heaven is, So, I'm,
Absolutely. Nah, not real shit.
but as life goes on, we all figure out our own answers to our questions to life. And it,
Right.
back to what you say, you got to educate yourself. I'm going to go back and I'm going to write down the books that you said, and first place I'm gonna check is Audible. I got free credits. I'm waiting on that Mary J. Trump book. I want to hear these dirty secrets. So,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do more research, because at the end of the day, I'd rather die with knowledge than die with money.
Absolutely.
Because what's money really? Money's something we made. You know,
Right.
money's really nothing.
Right.
knowledge is more powerful because no one can take that from you.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Like, yeah, man, you're definitely on point.
All right,
Knowledge is something.
let's go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to let you
Yeah,
go ahead and say what you got to say. I
yeah.
apologize for just cutting you off, but I'm sure this
Oh,
is
you good. No, you
final
good.
thought here. So go ahead, address my listeners. You know, speak to them, let them know what you got to say, boss.
Yeah, man. So, first and foremost, man, anybody out there that got a dream, man, go get it. Like, push yourself, bust your ass every single day. It don't matter what people think. It don't matter what people say, because at the end of the day, you got to be selfish to be selfless. You want to be able to see yourself 10 years from now, and you don't want to look back 10 years and be like, I'm the same person I was 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And so, man, if you got a dream, aspiration, if you don't know what your purpose is in life, man, start looking forward today, because at the there's a saying that says you here today, gone today. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, anybody that want to educate themselves, you know what I'm saying, especially on racial issues, Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Valentine, Dr. Umar Johnson is another one, Dr. Kaba Kayemi. There's so much literature out there, man, about racial issues in order for us to be able to solve this problem. And it takes a four-letter word, you know what I'm saying? And it's love. That's, like you said, at the end of the day, you just got to be able to understand each other. So again, man, thank you guys for thank you TLee for having me, man. I definitely want to work with you in the future. You know what I'm saying? All his fans out there, make sure you check out the new song that he'll be playing. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at IamBWize. That's IamBWize. Keep in touch with me. Love you guys.
All right, boss. Thank you so much. I'm gonna leave my listeners with this here. Today I have given all I can give. That which I have kept, I have lost forever. Just go ahead, think on that. Again, this has been 21 Answers with TLee featuring B-Wize. Thank you so much for being on here, boss.
No doubt, man. Thank you, man. God bless.
Please hang up and try again.